Hello, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Today, as you can tell, I have a book tag for you. I couldn't decide what one to do, and I really liked the questions for this tag. So this tag was originated, I'll put who originated this down below. It's been a couple years that it's been out now, but you know, I don't care about that stuff. I was interested in the questions and looking for a book tag, so we're gonna go for it. And I'm doing this and all the bonus questions that the creator has added over time. And I'm super excited. So here we go. So number 1 is The Room Where It Happened, a book or a world that you would love to live. This is so easy. I wanted to try to pick something else to be different from everyone else, but then I was like, why lie? I would love to live in the wizarding world. So much so that in a couple months I'm actually going on a trip there with my sister to the wizarding world, or as close as we can get in this life. My luck, I would be a muggle, but you know what? In a perfect world, I would live in this world and I would be a witch and I would be so happy about it. I would love going to Hogwarts and experiencing all the things. So I'm definitely picking the Wizarding World as the place that I would want to be. So number 2 is the Schuyler Sisters, say an underrated female character. This, I really wanted to think about it, and so I picked someone who isn't talked about a lot, and this is from an adult novel, and I picked from an underrated adult novel, and I picked Alex from The Chemist by Stephanie Meyer because she is so badass. Like, the government has been chasing her for years and she's always stayed one step ahead of them. She sets up these elaborate traps in her home to keep her safe. And when push comes to shove, she's willing to do whatever it takes to free herself from that trap. And I just think she works really hard, and even though she's scared to death all the time, she does it anyway. So I think she's really brave, and yeah, I wanted to tote her a little bit. And again, you know, I love this book. Please don't be scared away that it's Stephanie Meyer. Like, if you are like, oh, that lady who wrote the Twilight books, like, please don't. This is an amazing book. It's well put together. It's very exciting and thrilling, and I really suggest it to anyone, especially if you like thrillers or mysteries or running from the government type stuff. Number 3, and this is my shot, a character that lets nothing or no one get in the way of what they want. This one, I'm picking Mia from the Nevernight Chronicles. She is so amazing. She scares me, but she knows how she wants to get revenge and what she has to do to get it, and she removes all obstacles in her way to get what she wants. So I think she's awesome, and that's who I'm picking as my shot character. I think it really fits well, especially if you've read this series before. I think you know what I mean. Next, and this is a spoiler question for sure, so I'm going to put a little spoiler box up here for the XOXO series. So if you haven't read those or you haven't been spoiled for this already, just don't watch, okay? So the question is, stay alive, a character you wish was still alive. So this is, I'm sure you all know who I mean, but anyway, I said I would spoil. I was crushed that Matthias died, and I'm not over it. And I don't care that in the new series, Nina's gonna be in it and she's gonna be working through her grief. I'm not over it. I didn't want him to die. I am someone who likes perfect endings, and I'm very upset about this. So I wish he was still. Burn, a heartbreaking ending to a relationship. So this one was actually really hard for me because I don't have a lot of books where the character breaks up with someone. Like, that was like hard for me to come up with, but I kind of cheated a little bit, and I picked the it's not a breakup, but for all intents and purposes it was a breakup. I'm choosing when Jamie made Claire go back through the stones to protect their baby, and effectively they were, you know, he was making her go back with the thought that he would never see her again. And it's one of the most heartbreaking like goodbyes I've ever read / seen, because there's a TV show and they showed it to me, and it was even worse seeing it because the actors are so good. But first, before I saw it, I read about it and it was so painful. So that's an end to a relationship that I picked. The next one is You'll Be Back, which is one of my favorite songs from Hamilton, and it is Your Sassiest Villain. So for this one, I tried to pick some of these that you guys maybe wouldn't know, to give you some other book recs as well. So I actually picked Dreamwalker Jagang, which I'm not sure how that's pronounced because I read this series a long time ago and no one's ever said it. And when I read his name, I just go, like I like submerge it. But he's the villain in the Sword of Truth series from book 3 to 11. He's the main villain and he is evil, but he also has a lot of attitude. And he's a really three-dimensional villain, and I picked him. So this is actually the 6th book I'm holding up because I've told you it's my favorite copy that I own in this series. But he's just so evil. And I loved reading his parts because his mind was so like twisted and what he wanted was so clear, but he's so evil. So that's who I picked as my sassiest villain. This question, the Reynolds pamphlet, a twist ending to a book. So this is a spoiler for the Tierling trilogy. So again, I'll put a little spoiler card because I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you right now. And if you're someone who doesn't mind spoilers, maybe you'll appreciate this because I am so mad about this. So the twist ending in the fate of the Tierling is that basically the whole thing has to be a dream. And it's really confusing because it wasn't all a dream, but to save the world, she's in, she has to basically give it all up. And it's a dream then. Like, I don't even want to go into more detail of it because maybe you didn't make it all the way through but it just broke my heart because I hate that trope of things being a dream or not really happening or whatever. Like, the first 2 books in this series were so good. I loved them. And then this book came out and the ending, I was just like, no. So that's my twist ending. I hated that. I feel like it was a waste of a series and I'm really mad. Number 8, NonStop, a series you marathoned. I don't get to do that too much anymore because a lot of the series I read, they're like not finished yet. But here's an example of one which I've talked about in multiple videos already, and that is the Illuminae Files. I read books 1 through 3 within a week's time, and now I'm actually listening to them. I adored these books. They were so fascinating. The pages and what's going on inside is gorgeous. The story was so thrilling and amazing. So yeah, that's the last series I marathoned. Satisfied, your favorite book with multiple point of views. So this was hard because a lot of the books I like have multiple point of views. So again, I tried to pull in ones that aren't talked about a lot. And so for that, I pulled in Mortal Reign, which is the 6th book in the Fallen Kingdom series. There's multiple point of views through all of the books, but I love showing off the final cover because it's my favorite one in the series. In the beginning, I didn't like all the characters, so I didn't like that, but eventually they all have very interesting stories going on, and so it was a really fun read, and I felt that most of the characters that had a point of view, they needed it, because I needed to know what was going on with them. So to me, that's when it's purposeful to have multiple point of views, is when you're telling an epic story like this, you need those other points of view to make the story feel complete. And number 10, Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story. And again, I'm going to keep repping this series until I'm blue in the face, until I'm old and die. And that is the Little House series. Here's the first book. This is middle grade slash young reader. I feel that this story is so important, and please don't listen to the people trying to scare you from this and saying that it's racist and awful and it will ruin your children. That is not true. This is a beautiful story, and it was written a very long time ago, so the author didn't use proper terms for people that were not, like, there were no proper terms yet. Things were like that. The author herself was not a racist, horrible person. She's wonderful. Her stories belong in every children's library, every home. They're so good. So this story will live on. No matter what trash is said about them right now, this story will live on. And I just think it needs to be shared because it's beautiful and simple, and it's what got me into reading. So I'm gonna keep tooting this horn forever. It's gonna keep going. Number 11 is Helpless, a relationship that you were rooting for from the beginning. So this one, I'm bringing back the book I just showed, and I'm gonna talk about Marcus and Cleo, who they have a love to hate trope, and I feel like it was done so well. Like it took the right amount of time. Like, it wasn't like we hate each other and then we just flipped a switch and we're in love. Like, it took multiple books. And so it was so satisfying when they're finally in love and they're fighting for each other. They worked to get there. It wasn't hate, love, and then like insta love. It was, we worked to get here and we love each other. And I think that is so special. So I love Magnus and Cleo and their story is really amazing. And I was rooting for them from probably the second book. I was like, ooh, this needs to happen. I want this to be in my life. So, love it. Next one is 10 Dual Commandments, your favorite fight scene. So I don't have this book with me, so I'll put up a picture of it. But it is Lavanna versus Cinder in winter, when they're fighting over with Thorn and Cress and like everyone in the room, and Cinder's trying to save her friends and kill Lavanna and like not have her friends kill themselves and trying to control everything with her mind. And it's so desperate, and I was so nervous because I didn't know, maybe Marissa is gonna just kill everybody. Like, I had no idea what was going to happen, and it was so intense and it was so painful. Like, it hurt me as I was reading it because I didn't know which of my characters was going to make it through. So I thought it was amazing, and that's one of my favorite fight scenes that I've ever read. Number 13 is Say No to This, a guilty pleasure read. There's no surprise with this. I'm going with After by Anna Todd because I always feel a little ashamed when I read it, but I always have a great time because the story is so sickly compelling. I'm like, why do I care about these people? But I do, and it's going to be a movie, and I have no idea how that's going to work, but I'm going to be here for it. So that's my guilty pleasure read. 14, What Comes Next, a series that you want more books of. Now, again, this is one that many people have the same answer for. They want Harry Potter. They want more of the Hunger Games. They want this or that. And for me, I know I partially will get this wish, but I also know that this series will end one day and it will just be too soon. And for me, that's Outlander. Mostly I say this because Diana takes years and years and years to write each book. And she's fabulous. I wouldn't want her to rush it, but I want more. There's 8 books out now. She said there'll be 10 total, so there are more books coming. But like, I started reading these books when I was 22, and now I'm 25, and the next one still isn't out yet, and she's at least a couple years away from that. So then it'll be like another 5 years for the last one. So I'm gonna be in my 30s by the time this is done. But even when I am, it still won't be enough. I can't ever let these people go from my life. So yeah, I want more. Now I'm throwing another loop. Most of you aren't going to know who this is, but it's Right Hand Man, your favorite bro TP, so your favorite bromance. This one I had to think about as well, and it was hard to pick one because there's not a ton of guy bro relationships in the books I read, which kind of made me sad. But then I remembered a series, I'm currently reading this series, but how they were like in the old days. And for me, I picked Ross and Dwight from Poldark. from Ross Poldark is the name of this one. And yeah, Ross is the main character, and Dwight is a doctor who he knew when he was fighting in the army, and then that doctor friend moves to the town he lives, and he delivers all of Ross's children, their friends, pretty much their entire lives, and they just have such a good, honest relationship. They talk through all their problems together. They raise their children together. They're just such a cool male relationship, and it's loving and respectful, and they're never anything that the two really fight over or are jealous about. They're just this consistent presence in each other's lives, and I think it's so great. So that's what I picked as my bro TP. What I miss. A read that took you a while to get into, and again, I'm going back to the Illuminate files. I resisted these books for the last couple years while everyone was talking about how cool they are and how exciting and like why I need to be reading them, and I was like, no, I'm cool. And then I broke down and read one, and I was like, damn it, could have been reading this the whole time. But see, that's always a double-edged sword, because I could have been reading them the whole time, but then I would have had to wait with everybody else. And like, I just started these and I was able to read all 3 of them in 1 week, which was really cool. So it's this like double-edged thing where like, yeah, I was behind, but then I didn't have to wait years for the story to be over. So who's the real winner there? You know? So I hope you enjoyed my Hamilton book tag. This is an older tag, so I'm not going to tag anyone in it, but please feel free to do it, as well as check out the original, which I'll have tagged down below, and tell me what you think of some of my answers. As always, thank you for coming to the Book Refuge, and let's talk books down below.